Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us here on this truly terrific Thursday. It's just another blessed, beautiful day as we invite you to share and participate and be a part of our ongoing dialogue. Without the public's input, contribution, questions, and sometimes offering up what may be perceived as viable solutions. 949-837, 1-800-534-8255 as you get ready to go into the show. Great public thanks to both Miss Susan and Dean, our engineer. Hey, without them doing what they do behind the scenes, we wouldn't have what we have, publicly. We're expecting the good company of the Honourable Opposition Leader to join us shortly. And, as you know, there might be some things that were shared today that you may have heard before and now been confirmed. Let's see where that takes us. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
courtesy of Flow,
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon again, and welcome back. Thank you for joining us. Some days, sometimes it seems like we're here and we don't leave. And it's not only because, a focused attention and always that endeavor and commitment to be fully vested in our jobs. Sometimes it takes us, beyond the traditional working day. Sometimes it's before the day formal and official starts, and sometimes it extends even after the day has officially ended. Well, with that in mind, I'm glad to know that at times I get people like yourselves who say, listen, my shift doesn't start until this time. I know you're off, so would you be willing to come and have a chance to look at this thing that we want to show you? Others, it's, well, what about this? Did you know this? Did you know that? And it's amazing to see how many of us seemingly know, as it were, what is going to happen even before it's known to everybody else. And then there are others who have some issues and say, well, I wonder if this means that. Well, others would say, well, that's a sense of insight and foresight and vision. Others saying, well, we're just assimilating information and trying to get to a point where we are, at the very least, on the same page talking about similar things. Well, I hope that's the case, and I hope that means that we are confident not only in our economy, the economic and financial success, the potential for sustained social and a very harmonious society, but equally that we're confident in our democracy, the ability to publicly comment, supporting something or equally opposing something, not for the sake of opposition, not for the sake of being, in favor with people and against our own personal convictions that we are taking the positions that we are, but because we genuinely believe that that is the position to take. That, I believe, is a sense of a healthy democracy. Now, let's hear from you. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. And as we get into our discussion, you certainly can share with us your particular views, your decisions as you think are relevant to your day-to-day operations. I'll give you an example. Chance much earlier this morning to chat with someone who says, in the scheme of things, he's a small business. The sales, small compared to not just globally, but even what is here locally. Small in the sense that, end of the day, he only employs a handful of people. Very small. But to him and to his employees, very significant, because their livelihoods, the ability for them to pay their mortgages or even get a mortgage in the first place, to provide the education for their children, whether they're in public schools, and so the school fees are relatively, inexpensive compared to maybe some of the tuition that we pay at private schools, whether on island or boarding schools off island, or in some cases at universities. But just the living expenses, buying the groceries, paying the utilities, for them it is significant. For him, he has to ensure that they do a good job, they maintain the contracts, they get their business, they provide the service, as it were. Now he shares that, he said, because as he looks down the road, he wants to know that irrespective of what certain people, whether they're political hopefuls or established, politicians, that we're going to have this opportunity. Now he shares, he doesn't think he's naive in believing that just because you have bread and butter today, that come tomorrow or next week, you'll always have that as well. And maybe you might, but the bread and butter mightn't necessarily be that thing that you want or that is desirable. And he shares, we need to be able to maintain, respect and preserve what we have, but always be looking at being adaptable to changing circumstances. Now he shared that it would seem, and I appreciated him taking time, I appreciate his perspective. I did say to him that even over the years, he would share things, and sometimes they would be striking. They would be almost as if he was reading from the parchment and was able to share without contradiction. But the unwillingness to do so publicly. He quickly retorted by sharing that sometimes people hear a voice and they dismiss it even before they hear what the voice has to say. Sometimes that voice not only becomes so commonplace that it loses its influence, but that voice then causes the speaker to be punished, penalized, marginalized, victimized, and sometimes ostracized. And as I listened to his influence and his counsel, recognizing that even in his tender years, there's wisdom, far beyond what his age belies. Now, he shared that as we look at, again, the issues with respect to development and the proposals with the port, he thought a few things were obvious and very evident. And I'll share with you with his not only consent, but perhaps almost desire that I do so to challenge some of the thought processes. He says, on one hand, if we say something, and we start, he says, first with the politicians, whether it's the political directorate through the Premier and his cabinet, or whether it's the opposition and the other members of the Legislative Assembly, or it's the aspiring or expected aspirants in the political arena, we point fingers, and we may either more than likely condemn the perspective that they put forward, whether it's for a proposal or it's against it, simply because we're not looking at the big picture. And then from the politicians, we look at the other players, the people who would stand to benefit from a government's proposal going to the left or to the right. If it changes the status quo, how will these people benefit or lose? Now, then he thought, then there's the majority, the rest of us, who are probably unaware, ill-informed, and he shared, he says, speaking to his own perspective, ill-prepared and ill-equipped to even rationalize, analyze, and to fully understand, because there is a glaring absence of timely, accurate information. So he says, going back to the politician, if, and again, we're speaking specifically on the port, he says, because here is a project that has caused much discussion and debate, not so much publicly as his mind should, but privately, amongst family and friends and co-workers. And he thought that if we believe that this discussion isn't happening as he thought, then we're being ill-advised, ill-informed, and perhaps, not a word that he used, but I think one that may easily come to mind, we're fooling ourselves. He shares that from even the youngsters in the different sporting arenas in which he's involved as coach or as sponsor or whatever capacity. Now, many of these are probably speaking what they hear their parents and coaches and other adults share. Some of them, because they're a little bit older, they may be sharing from their own perspective, from what they see online in social media, what they may garner from the publications and the like. But they're all affected and have a view about what is transpiring. So he says, with the port, people are looking at it and understanding that on one hand, there is a significant amount of capital expenditure, money that is going to be spent if this project goes forward. Like it or not, it's going to be good for the economy, and they're going to employ people while it happens. After the fact, there's going to be money to be made. It may be concentrated in certain quarters, it may be spread across the board, but there's money involved. Then secondly, there are those who would say, but wait, is there an economic impact that will outweigh the potential environmental impact? We don't know how or if the 7 Mile Beach will be affected, to what extent the harbor is going to be negatively impacted. There are those who would say, well, the report and the engineers, the scientists and the like will be able to give us an understanding of, well, this may be what could, but if we do it this way, it could reduce the negative consequence. He says, nobody knows. They can tell you what they think might happen given this, but it isn't. Now, I don't know, I haven't seen, but I've reliably informed that there is a report that indicates, for instance, you recall maybe a year or a bit ago, there was a channel that was cut in order to evaluate the impact of removing, some called it reef, some said no, it's just, loose rock, but along the beach near the new hotel development there, to see if we remove this, it makes the swim so much better, so much easier. So therefore, we should do that. Well, you may weigh in and think that's a great thing. Well, we understand that after a year or more of watching that, well, the consequence is that if you remove more of that coral or beach rock or whatever the word that you choose to use, that thing that is now somewhat fixed to the seabed, that's going to cause more of the sand to erode and lots of potentially negative consequences relative to the sand, and therefore cause you to not be able to do the thing that you wanted to do with the removal of the rock, that is to swim in a nice sandy, somewhat shallow, somewhat safe area. Now, recognizing that we have a caller online, and we will get to both, but these are the things that we're discussing, and we're hopeful that you will be willing to weigh in and tell you exactly what we understand from some others who seemingly are reliably informed. Well, want to know what they're going to say? Well, remind to ask me if I forget. 949-8037 is one number you can use to call and share your thoughts. Equally, 1-800-534-8255. It works when it works. Here's another number that we know usually works as well. So sometimes, you got multiple lanes going to the same destination. 949-6990 is another number to use as well. To the phones or to the break, Miss Susan, where are we going? You tell us. We're pausing and we're taking a break. When we come back, more talk today.
Don't sleep on these savings at Tomlinson Furniture with King City mattresses for $475 and futons for $499 till supplies last. New arrivals every week. Tomlinson Furniture, corner of Hospital and Smith Road.
Whether you're planning your child's next birthday party or simply looking for a social night out, look no further than Kingpin Bowling at King Sports Center.
With a range of packages and specials for bowling parties, socials, and corporate team building, Kingpin Bowling offers what no one else can. The only bowling alley in Cayman. And it's indoor fun, which means no mosquitoes, AC, and don't forget about their bowling bar. Book your bowling lanes today. Call 946-BOWL. That's 946-2495. Email kingpinbowling@candw.ky. For more information, visit their website, www.kingsportscenter.com.
King Sports Center, providing your fitness, recreation, and relaxation needs.
Excuse me, I noticed you from afar.
Really? Me?
Well, not you. The KFC sandwich you're eating?
Oh, Zinger.
Sorry, I'm not trying to be funny.
No, it's called the Zinger Sandwich. Crunchy, juicy, 100% chicken breast, crisp lettuce, sweet mayo on a seeded bun with a little zing. KFC's chicken is not factory breaded, frozen and refried like the Burger Boys. Customize your KFC Zinger and dip it in barbecue sauce.
Wow, now I'm starting to notice you too.
KFC, it's finger licking good.
Give yourself great hair with a Wash Blow and Go hair service special for $39.99 from Beyond Basics. Finish your polished look with facial hair threading services. $5.99 for lip or chin, $9.99 for brows, or $24.99 for full face threading. Only at Beyond Basics this February. Call 916-SKIN to book your appointment today.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thank you so much for calling. And I hope that this doesn't embarrass him, but hopefully it embarrasses the rest of us who are not as punctual, who do not respect time the way our parents, and I'm guilty to that to a great extent, even though I try, right? Honorable D. Ezzard Miller said to me, listen, I'm at the conference, I will be there for 12:30, and Mr. Miller, I do apologize for keeping you waiting while I was talking and going to the break, but Susan's like, the gentleman is there, he's on time. I said, well, he understands 12:30 is 12:30, no, 12:30. Mr. Miller, good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon to you and good afternoon to the listening Cayman. And if I sound a little bit out of wind, it's because I was rushing to get here, because I don't know where this thing come from about Caymanians being tardy and we've been raised that 1 o'clock means 2 o'clock and 2 o'clock means 5 o'clock. I was raised in a maritime household.
Yes, sir. Likewise, huh?
And my grandfather raised us around the dining room table, and he ate breakfast at 7, lunch at 12, and supper at 5.
Yeah.
And I have a cardinal rule, which some people like it, some people don't.
Yeah.
If I have a time to meet with you, I'm going to be there within 15 minutes of that time, either before or after.
Yeah.
I prefer to be before because I like to come and take a deep breath and relax and get myself in the frame of mind to deal with whatever you and I have agreed to deal with.
Yes, sir.
And I give everybody else the same thing. If you have an appointment with me, I give you until 15 minutes of grace, and if you don't show up, I assume that the appointment has been cancelled, and I move on to something else.
Right.
If I can't make it, I try and call and say, listen, I can't make it.
Yeah. Well, I say this publicly, and I do recognize that some people, maybe because they want to be malicious, others because they just want to be facetious, and others, they're just idle. I say this publicly that I commend you only because you're here. There are others, and respectfully, hope you don't mind me saying, but there are others like you who are my senior, a little bit older than me, who have that same level of respect for timeliness and for time. And if they're being booked on this show, I can set my clock. They're going to be out there 15 minutes, if not more, beforehand. Not because I'm important, but because they value the importance of time. And I respect that, sir. So I say that not to slight others, but to ask us as a people to be more respectful of time. It doesn't matter if you're meeting your friend for coffee, No. It doesn't matter if you are going to a wedding or otherwise. Be on time. Yeah. I say that knowing that sometimes I'm late because I can't get my hair done. But otherwise...
That does take some doing. I mean,
you know how much effort that is?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
I mean, when it's that short, it's hard to put it in a ponytail. If that's what you woke up in the morning deciding you want for the day.
You see
to
that?
massage your ego, you must have a ponytail, right? And two, you and I don't have... What this new thing is that a lot of the women use is weaving, right? I don't subscribe to that either too much, but I'm usually...
wash and go, huh?
Yeah, I've heard of one of the prominent politicians who, according to his best bar, that he has to do his hair with 100 brushes every morning in order to get it in the position he wants. I'm not quite that particular.
No man.
But, I guess it was the first speaker this morning at the Royal Fidelity CEO after the premiere was, and I just want to get her name correct, was Noreen Hertz, and she talked about the 5 forces of disruption and how to navigate them. And when it was a very intriguing speech, and towards the end, she got to some of the things that I do routinely. You hear me say that, Sundays I don't let my phone run my life. I control this. This doesn't control me. And I am not afraid to turn it off. Right?
Well.
And on Sundays, I go to my mother's house and to partake of too much food from him. But I leave the phone home.
Yep.
Right? I take my family out in the boat. I carry the phone, but it's off. It's only if I break down or something, and I normally don't go far enough from shore that I can't walk it to the shore if I need to, right? But one of my favorite things in subjects, or my 2 favorite subjects in university, was time management and decision making. And time is a relative thing.
Yeah.
But I can't use what's behind me, It's like the 3 things that no pilot can't use, right? The runway behind him, the fuel he left on the ground, and the airspace above him, right?
Yep.
And we have to live our lives with that understanding. Now, I respect people, and I try to call them back, but on the other hand, one of the things that she pointed out, which I found was intriguing, was that we don't take any time to think anymore.
Before we talk, especially.
Yeah. No, but I mean, even just to evaluate and plan and dream,
But, Mr. Miller, I get accused sometimes of being too positive, too ambitious. I look at the life that we enjoy in this country, and I make no bones about it. It's challenging. It's expensive in many respects. Many of us aren't earning enough, not just because we've dug a deep financial hole or we're trying to live above our means. Not even getting into that. The fact that it's sometimes we got caught off on different. But the little things that we should have preserved or should be trying to preserve, little things like being able to go outside and not have to worry about being killed or attacked by vicious dogs or being accosted, molested, or otherwise confronted with somebody trying to sell you something unwanted, right? Are starting to creep into our society. People are in their backyards worried if the front door has been double bolted and locked and the security system is there, the gate is... Now, I do know that we all have friends and family who live in other countries for whom that is a very real threat. But it's a quality of life that as we get older and we see our parents, they should not have to deal with that.
And there's an old Cayman saying, enough is enough, right?
Yes, sir.
And one of the things that, in fact, I congratulated the Premier earlier on his speech today. It was a very good speech. It was, and there's no question, and that they under Honourable Alden's leadership,
yes, sir,
the finances of the country has been restored, confidence in the economy, and the economy is going.
Yes, sir.
But it was a very good speech for the people in our room. But it wasn't a good speech for the people that I represent.
Okay, you were there, sir, so give us that perspective.
Because all of the plans and the economic indicators that he unveiled are all true. right? But I talked to the average Caymanian, right? And the famous Reagan trickle-down economic effect is not reaching the average middle class and lower Caymanian.
What is somewhat called voodoo economics?
Yeah. What I am getting, the feedback I'm getting from Caymanians is they're a lot worse off today than they were 5 years ago. Why? They are in a situation, particularly in the private sector and in government to a lesser extent, because government did at least give a 5% COLA last year. But they have stagnated wages, right? Because the government and economic indicators are now leading to inflation, which is devaluing the ability of their purchasing power of their dollar. Every week that I go to the supermarket, I get less for $100, right?
Increasingly.
So the cost of living is increasing by wage stagnation, and then even worse are the Caymanians who built this country, who are now stuck with fixed incomes, which are deliberately inadequate, right? Yeah. Because government policy is the whole premise of it is wrong, right?
Okay.
Because we need to start with what does a senior citizen need in order to live a comfortable life.
So we put in the
arbitrarily. We created $500, and then we said, well, we'll get up to $650, and because we need to build a dock, etc., we can't give you the $750 this year. We give that extra $100 next year. $750 is arbitrary. If you look at the kind of standard expectation in what defined benefits pension try to deliver, is most people can live comfortably after retirement on 2/3 of their salary, whatever that salary is. Because some expenses in getting to work and having to buy extra clothes to dress for work are cut back. So we need to start from that number and work backward.
Okay.
We had to accept, if we accept that our senior citizens needs 2/3 of their income, right, in order to maintain the lifestyle that they were having while they were productive working people, then we need to work backwards from that and deduct whatever little pension they have, whatever little investments they have, whether it's on an apartment that they're renting, etc., whatever little part-time work they can get, and government make up the difference, right? Because if you look at economic growth, yes, it's at 4%, right? But for the average Caymanian, it's a minus quantity because they're getting the same salary the end of March that they got March 2018, 2017, 2016, and a loaf of bread or a gallon of milk or 5 pounds of rice have gone from whatever it was in 2016 or 2015 when they were getting that salary to what it is today, right? And so therefore they're not seeing the benefits of this fantastic economy that we have created. We combine that with the cultural and social issue where, in many respects, we have the worst two industries we could have as our economic drivers. The financial industry, which requires considerable education and skills to get to the level where you're actually making money and you have disposable income, etc. Then we have the tourist industry, which is based on people not working. We see the people laying down on the beach, enjoying life. They can go to the bar, they can buy a $10 drink or $5 or $6 $10 drinks. They can go and have a $40 steak, But
they're on vacation.
I agree. But what the average Caymanian doesn't understand is he's probably saved 3 or 4 years to get that vacation, right? They just see the guy enjoying the benefits in Cayman that they can't. The same thing, the guy who comes in on a work permit, some of them, not all of them,
yes, sir,
have actually had experience in the financial industry, have qualifications in the financial industry, and have earned the position to come in as manager.
So
they don't appreciate that because many times their qualifications are irrelevant in the job place, right? So again, they see the people coming in, getting all the benefits, right? The Caymanian is struggling to make ends meet. You know, he got a car loan, he's trying to get a house. You know, when I graduated, up until my generation, the ambition of all of us was you get an education, you get a good job, kind of time frame, 5 years, I will have bought a piece of land, I'll plan to get married. Certainly by year 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10, I have a house. And I might have started off with a 1-bedroom on that lot of land, right? We have a very serious situation in this country where that kind of participation in the Cayman economic miracle is totally out of the reach of the average Caymanian today.
And getting worse, sir.
And getting worse. Why is it? Because we're doing all these good things. What's happening in the rental industry? People are pulling their rental units that they were getting $800 a month for a 2-bedroom or a 1-bedroom unit. They're putting it in Airbnb because they're getting $150, $200 a day.
Yep.
So what's happening now is that the rental market for the Caymanians is going up as well for two reasons. We're bringing in people who can afford to pay more, who want to live at a higher standard. The cost of building a house is becoming astronomical.
Yep.
I mean, we have the unfortunate situation where government has just had to reissue a tender for the mental health institutions because the construction cost was too high. When it is government that's allowing all these approvals and driving the cost of construction up through supply and demand.
Yeah, it's something
and we have to find a way to make the Caymanians get back to where the Caymanians were in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. Where you felt that you had opportunity. Nobody wanted anything for free, and I'm not suggesting any of this thing be free, right?
Right.
But we have to find a mechanism, right, to make sure that they can be a part of the Cayman miracle, and that they can have their ambition, and they can realistically own a house on a piece of land and raise a family in Cayman.
Okay. All right. Well, Mr. Miller, with that, sir, we're going to pause quickly, take a short break. When we come back, we'll continue the discussion on Honorable D. Ezzard Miller. Please stay tuned for Talk Today.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336. Cayman's biggest family fun day is back.
The 52nd Annual Agriculture Show at the Stacey Watler Agriculture Pavilion in Lower Valley. Wednesday, March 6th. Cookie competition, pony rides, petting zoo, beautiful baby contest, rodeo, Miss Farm Queen competition, Andy Martin the Cayman Cowboy, Roscoe the Mechanical Bull, and so much more.
Gates open at 7:30 a.m. with ample parking.
General admission is only $10. Children ages 2 to 11, only $5. And children under 2 are absolutely free. Or if you buy a raffle ticket, it includes free entrance and a chance to win $20,000.
The 52nd Annual Agricultural Show, March 6th in Lower Valley.
For more information, visit them on Facebook or caymanagriculture.ky.
Miami is so much more than just a shopping destination. Foodies, friends, and family are flocking to Miami for a variety of vacation experiences. From theater shows and concerts, theme parks and sports, to museums, fine dining, festivals, culture, spa, and more. And with regular Miami airfares now from just $182 CI round trip, including taxes, now is the time to plan your unique Miami getaway. For details and to book, call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Minimize age spots, dull skin, and acne, and erase fine lines and deep wrinkles with a combination of a microdermabrasion facial and laser skin tightening treatment, followed by a glow mask and face massage for only $250, a savings of $200. That's 4 treatments for the price of 1. Only at Beyond Basics this February. Call 916-SKIN to book your appointment today.
Hi, I'm Dawn McLean Brady, President of the Cayman Islands Small Business Association, better known as CISPA. Small businesses drive Cayman's economy. As small business owners, we depend on government to create an environment where we, as entrepreneurs, can do what we do best, and that's to provide products and services that are valuable to our customers and, in turn, employ others. The cruise piers and cargo ports provide these opportunities. Encourage our government to build a port and let the Caymanian entrepreneurial spirit shine. Support the port, support our tourism.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Starring Dwayne Ebanks.
Yes, sir. In the studio is the good company of our elected members of our Legislative Assembly. And I will, with great respect, Mr. Miller, until that change is being constitutionally approved that we call it Parliament, would you permit me to refer to it as Legislative Assembly, so that people like Dr. Steve McFeel doesn't call me out and say, listen, you know better. That's fine.
Call me too, but
yes, sir. Yes.
Hopefully we'll get that change in the near future.
Yes, sir.
But getting back to this whole thing about the economy, one of the things we have to be very careful here, and what concerns me most about our economic development, our economic trends, is we putting all the eggs in one basket. I would call it a name, but it's spelled D-A-R-T. Anytime any one entity, be that Caymanian, you can remember, you can talk to your parents, and you can talk about when the Marians controlled the economy, how they control the country.
I don't want to interject, right? Yeah. Wasn't there a time not long ago where we heard some of you, if I may call them your contemporaries, your cohorts, would talk about the merchant class and the bourgeois and stuff. I'm not trying to be derogatory. So that's no different in relation to them as it is in relation to now, right?
We can't let one entity control so large a portion of our economy. At some point in time, we have to be able to say to the dark conglomerate that enough is enough. You need to slow down now.
Okay. I want to ask you some more, right? Ms. Susan, and I do apologize to our callers. She says there are a couple of callers online. We'll take them both. We want to get through. But, when elected members are sharing something, boy, if your mom is speaking, you don't listen. What do they say? You can't hear, you can feel. Let's go to our phones. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Good afternoon, Dwayne.
Good afternoon, my friend. How are you today, sir?
I am well, man. And yourself?
Well, listen, if I were handsome tall now, I'd be almost perfect.
Well, you were talking about, you and Mr. Miller was talking about your hair, you in the morning.
Yeah.
But how you doing, Mr. Miller?
All right, let me see if I can make sure he's here.
Got it.
Yeah, he was pressing the green button. I keep telling him that don't work, Yeah.
That's the eject button.
Good afternoon, Mr. Miller. How you doing today, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
Pretty well, thank you. I didn't intend to call in, gentlemen, but just something Mr. Miller said kind of, as usual, sparked my whole thought process, and I wanted to engage him a little more on some of the things he shared just before he ended the break. And specifically, as I listened to you, and I mean, I've been thinking about this for a very long time, but that whole notion where you were wrapping up talking about Caymanians finding a way, to use your word, to bring the Caymanians back to this economic miracle, and that just begs the question. Well, wasn't it for us to start with?
Well, I am young enough to remember when Caymanians owned everything.
Right, and let me expand the thought, and I know you understand where I'm going, but we need to underscore that because it's so poignant to perhaps everything that we're dealing with right now. So in my little studies from economic development perspective, since we're talking about economic development, a country, and certainly the government of a country, would focus on creating real wealth, tangible wealth or otherwise, job opportunities or otherwise, for the citizens of that country. And to hear you talk in that manner, to hear you point it out in that fashion, means that either our leaders recognize that Caymanians are not the beneficiaries right now of this economic miracle, or certainly not at the level that we're supposed to be at, and they're doing nothing about it, or that they're totally blind and only a few of you see. Can you help shed some light about why that is? What's going on? Why doesn't our leaders, if you understand that is happening, why do we continue to face the things that we're facing in our very own country? I don't get it. I don't get that, sir. And I'm trying to connect the dots here as I listen to you. So I'm going to come off the line and listen to your response, Mr. Miller.
Okay, well, one of the let me see if I can give you an example. In the 70s and 80s, when we were encouraging hotel development in the Cayman Islands, we actually wrote a law called the Hotel AIDS Law, right? Which several governments have now ignored, although it's the law of the land.
It's still a law.
It's still a law. It hasn't been repealed because I went and got a copy of it quite recently from the LA. And what the Hotel AIDS Law says is it specifies what
like the developments in which area and the concessions are available.
What concessions you would get. And it quite clearly states building a hotel within what we call the 7 Mile Beach Corridor now, you get nothing. That's the law.
Yes, sir.
Okay? The rest of the Cayman Islands, you pay 2.5% duty. What we have found in the last decade, right, is that hotel developers are being allowed to come in and negotiate their own individual deal. Now, the opportunity, the corruptive opportunity that gives is reason for pause. Because here we have people ignoring a law that's on the books in order to illegally, in my view, negotiate with people and give them concessions that the law does not allow. And then the other thing that has taken Caymanians out of the realm is because we've gotten so caught up in being able to project growth in order and we're so enamored with inward investment as opposed to organic growth from our own people that we have allowed the politicians to frame success of a government, which was clearly on show at the Chamber of Commerce luncheon and today, in how much inward investment, how many people from outside we can get invest in the country, right? As opposed to having a more realistic, sustainable growth pattern. And the indices that we are concerned about is how many Caymanians have we rose from the poverty level into middle class, how many Caymanians have risen from middle class into top class, right? Have moved into the boardrooms, etc., etc. The last 2 decades have seen a departure of Caymanians from the boardroom, unless we make them Caymanians through immigration. We give them Cayman status, and then they can say, well, we have Caymanians, right? And what I'm saying is that we need to be more concerned that anything that happens in this country needs to happen for the global Caymanian. And it needs to be equal opportunity to benefit. The amount of benefit that you may be able to extract from that growing economy may vary depending on your capacity to do so, whether that's educational, physical, or whatever it is, right? But you should have the opportunity to.
Yeah.
Because we are so enamored by inward investment that we seem to have forgotten about our people. Right.
Yeah.
Give another example. You will recall that in the 70s and 80s with the huge growth. We've never had, the people are talking about the growth in stay with tourism and all that kind of. We never had, that was the real time for tourism development in Cayman. When we had the butlers and them developing the condos, and the condos were rented to people because, as part of their income, etc., etc. What did we have? We had Caymanian contractors. Every time we allow inward investors as developers to set up their own construction companies, to set up their own management companies, the opportunities for Caymanians are diminished. And we drive the wages down, right? Because we have been on a whether accidental or deliberate, but we have been on a constant depression of wages. I'm being kind by saying it's stagnation, right? It is actually depression. I was talking to somebody yesterday who's in the cruise business, right? And they were talking about building the cruise port and the government's announcement that some of the cruise companies have signed up to help finance the dock. Well, the consequences of that, I'm still not sure what it is and whether it's all legal or not, right? But he was pointing out that he's getting less today for a tour to Stingray City than he was getting 15 years ago.
Or even longer.
Right.
Respectfully, let's talk about that when we come back. You used the word stagnation. I introduced you, listeners, remind us of another word, stagflation.
Yep.
I wonder if that plays into the Cayman context, in a sense. All right, 949-8037 to our callers in the queue. Respectfully, please stay on the line. We will get to you right after. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman. Radio Cayman's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
Premier the Honourable Alden McLaughlin says government is entertaining a plan for a development from DART that would greatly exceed the current development height limits. At this morning's Cayman Economic Outlook, Mr. McLaughlin said should the new development go through, DART would also commit to investing an additional $1.5 billion into the Cayman economy, not just in the development itself, but in, quote, critical infrastructure improvements and support for workforce development. In international headlines, a new report says Libya's central bank illegally ordered 3 times the number of banknotes it had been authorized to print, and now can't say what happened to most of them. The report from U.S.-based Kroll Associates said most of them are believed to have been put in circulation without authorities removing or destroying the old bills they were supposed to replace. The Trump administration today proposed federal tax credits of up to $5 billion a year for donations to groups offering scholarships that would help students attend private schools, apprenticeships, and other educational programs. Education Secretary Betsy DeVos is pushing the plan in a renewed bid to expand school choice after early initiatives failed. Her support for tuition vouchers and charter schools has been central to her education policy, but has yet to take hold in Congress. Those are your headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom. I'm April Cummings.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands. What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
Can you imagine where Cayman runs off renewable energy? We can. Learn how you can join government and be an energy advocate.
Visit the Ministry of and Infrastructure's Facebook page to learn more.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thank you so much, not only for listening to us and sharing your thoughts specifically, publicly, but for all of the information. And as long as we continue to do so accurately, you don't have to do so nicely, but accurately and timely, it's of value and it helps to inform. To Mr. Miller, if he would, to his colleagues, extend a very public sense of gratitude for me, for Radio Cayman, I believe for the media, for all the elected members, come in to the public and say, at least we're there. The public can take the opportunity. And it's important because there are many countries where you can't see the politician, not even during election time. And that's not said to be, offensive, but it's the truth. So we should take that, Now, Mr. Miller, the Honorable Opposition Leader, Honorable Ezzard Miller, is our guest. Sir, I think we have a caller that's been there waiting. As we call us to the line, Ms. Susan. To the caller, our apologies. Thank you for your patience and thank you for joining us. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Sterling.
How are you today, sir?
Good, thanks. How are you?
I would say to you that I'm most grateful. How about that?
Come on, you're blessed.
Amen, brother. Amen.
Otherwise, you're blessed.
Thank God. Amen to that.
And to the Honorable Leader of the Opposition, a good day to you, sir.
Same to you, sir.
And the reason I'm calling is that I'm here giving a live report from the new airport because my wife and a friend of hers are flying in.
Okay.
And I'm really, I have to say, it's an impressive facility, but it's really stark and it's got no heart. And I've been standing, waiting, watching the people come off the entry for car rentals and all that. Mm-hmm. And after a while, I started saying to them, "Welcome to Cayman." And I'm an expat, for God's sake, And I'd say, "Well, I'm an expat," and they said, and this one guy and his wife said, "Well, at least somebody welcomed us to the island." And I remember the days when you actually had people here, where you could stand on the platform and watch the planes come in and wave to the people as they were coming off the planes and wave goodbye to them and stuff. And you had somebody actually selling your tickets at the parking lot, and you were actually dealing with people. And it's really gotten stark here. And you can have all these big new buildings and all that stuff, but if you don't have heart and warmth, you're really selling your whole experience short.
Wow.
And I'm really disappointed, and I don't know who's involved or anything, because obviously it's way beyond my pay grade, but there needs to be some people around here welcoming people, showing some warmth and some gratitude that people are here. And
I can remember when that was the first thing that an immigration officer said to you: "Welcome to the Cayman Islands."
Exactly, and everybody's talking about big buildings and big ports and 20 stories and 50 stories, and that stuff's all over the world. But somebody that has some heart, that welcomes you in the Cayman spirit, that's why people have been coming here for decades.
Absolutely. Our whole tourism industry was built on relationships.
And having local people in the tourism industry saying, "Yeah, I was born and raised here, blah, blah, blah. What do you want to know?" And all these foreign people in the service industry, they can't do it. There's nothing wrong with them. They're just not Caymanian.
Yep.
And so I don't know who's it. I guess it would be the head of tourism or whatever, but I can't believe that they would build this facility and not think along the lines of, well, how are we going to instill the Cayman warmth that we want these visitors to feel when they come here?
It's all about the building is designed to move you through the building in a hurry. That's what it's about.
And
that's unfortunate.
Smile on
nobody. Yep.
And it's really depressing almost.
Well, my view is that, we started out with an airport that if it was inclement weather, you either got wet or you stayed in a plane until it was over. We spent $70 million and we still get wet to get off the plane.
Yeah, I think it's really...
Well, we have two beautiful arches now. You must admit that that glass arch that you look at there above you is beautiful. And those unfunctional sails that are flying above the standing seam roof on the middle of the building are if you stand far enough away from the building, you might actually see them.
But you could have a couple of retired people that are outgoing and good dispositions, and they could welcome people. "Hi, welcome to my island. I'm really glad you're here. Blah blah blah," and it would be giving them
and offering directions of how to get to the various car rentals and But they're setting it up now so that the car rentals will probably have representatives inside, and they can sell them a desk, and they'll have a TV up over their head, and it'll be completely, we're losing our way in tourism.
The bathwater.
Yep.
So God bless you both.
Amen.
I'm sorry if I sound depressing, but I just wanted to let you guys know, because this could be so much warmer and friendlier.
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir, for
sharing. Thanks for calling. We appreciate it.
Have a good day.
You too, sir. And I hope that as we listen to it, that we see this constructive commentary and not, this scathing.
Well, one of the things that this government doesn't do very well, right, which, if given the opportunity to be premier, I hope to do, is involve the Caymanians, right, in the development, in the design of these projects, and we say it's transparent and we follow, but I'm leader of opposition, and I have never been told what, showing the airport plans are invited to tour it and see what it's about. I'm very concerned about the canvas that we're putting on along the driveway, that is all going to drain down on your back when you're trying to walk into the building. Yeah. Where is these people? Those things should have been designed so that the water run into the road, and we have proper drain wells to take it away from the building, not to dump the water onto the building. I sit in the departure lounge, and the walkway is the same height of the floor. When we had a rain, that I was sitting there, and we had a little southeast wind along with the rain, the water was coming inside the building.
And that was just a little spray.
Come on, man. Who looks at these designs, Yeah. Oh, well, we got to get a wheelchair of it. Yeah, you need to get a wheelchair of it, but you only need 3/4 of an inch drop, right? And you're getting that over the threshold anyway.
Well, they say architects like to build edifices onto themselves.
Yeah, but you see, one of the things that those kind of architectural enhancements that have no functional value, like those beautiful arches with 3 triangles in it. One is supposed to represent Grand Cayman, one is supposed to represent Cayman Brac, and one is supposed to represent Little Cayman, are costly items that does not contribute to the functionality of the building.
Yep.
Imagine if we had kept the flat roof. Yes, we needed to move the Wavering Gallery back a little bit so you couldn't spit in somebody's head, right? But that was our tradition.
Not spitting in people's head, okay?
No. But going up on the Waving Gallery from the days when people were going to sea.
You remember?
Seamen, you leaving the island was a family event. Yeah. You went to the airport and you waved on board the plane.
Yeah. All right, Mr. Miller, we're going to ask you some more questions, talk some more things, because Mr. Miller's only going to be here for another 45 or so. But we have a call online. Let's take our next break at 5 o'clock. Let's go to the phones. Good afternoon and welcome. Caller decided, okay, well, listen, you know what? Make hay while the sun shines. Mr. Miller, if I may ask you, as you shared as a caller prior to and the like, we're increasingly starting to recognize that more and more of our people, and I hope that this doesn't offend people too much, but maybe a little bit, because sometimes you go to church and the pastor tells you need to get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
And maybe the seat that you sit in,
you break eggs. You got to break the eggshell and make the omelette.
Well, okay, fair enough. What was it?
I guess these days they got machines that can bore it and stir it up, and then you fry it in the shell. But
yeah, how you like eggs? Beat them up. We can laugh at that one. Yeah. Now, as we speak to Honourable Ezzard Miller, this idea that you shared earlier, we should not put our eggs in one basket. Many of us are told, whether it's an investment advisor, whether it was our parents, you got to diversify your portfolio. Different ways. A country is advised that it should have different legs to its economy and the like. We are increasingly hearing things from different people in our society, and I think it's commendable that a lot of these people are not Caymanians, in a sense, that they don't vote, they don't have status and the like, but their interests, seemingly, to my mind, is genuine, they're sincere, they're concerned, not just because of their financial investment, their safety and security, but the reasons that they've come here, those things are being lost, right? And it would appear that some primarily now these foreign nationals, have expressed that as a civil service, the technicians within are either afraid or unwilling because of the perceived political influence and the political sort of beating, my word, not theirs, they're much more diplomatic, that the civil service and civil servants will get if they say to, hey, you, Mr. Politician, you can't go forward with this project because of A, B, and C. As an example, we have a Department of Environment. We also have the National Conservation Council, the National Trust, and other entities who would say, well, be mindful of the environment. So let's use the DOE. They didn't ask me. I hope I don't get them in trouble, but I want to share with you, sir, if I could, on behalf of a number of people. We understand now in the public domain that DOE issues a report relative to the proposed project in the Barkas area and says, don't look like you got achieved what you want. It's probably not good environmentally. So, and some of these people, even before this hit the public domain, sought me out and said, listen, do you know this? And now if you don't, here's what will transpire. They seemingly had an insight prior, and what they shared and what has been publicly sort of shared is one and the same. The concern is that even before the ink dries on the report, the developer, the applicant, and the like are saying, but wait a minute now, let's move forward because we need this thing done. It may not be a bad thing, but where's the consequence down the road? Where is the information now to the public?
That you see, again, we have to be. We should be able, as a country, to put more reliance and more stake and more importance on recommendations from the Department of the Environment.
Okay.
But we know that they don't support the pier in its present form, and they're concerned about all of the damage there and everything else. What did they get from that? Got kicked off the steering committee. Right?
Okay.
I don't take any comfort in the fact that DOE has recommended against the removal of the turtle grass in Barkas. That does not happen. Right?
Okay.
Because I can tell you this, though, that they recommended that I do an EIA on putting farm roads in Northside. And the government took that advice and told me that they had to take the advice because the legal advice was that the advice of DOE was binding.
So do as I say, do as I do.
But they didn't do that with the removal of the section of Iron Shore, Hard Shore that we found down there, right?
Right. So
I don't take any comfort in the fact that the DOE is recommended against it, that it's not going to happen, right? So I need the people who are, as I am, concerned about the possible negative effects of that whole development on Barkas don't take no comfort in the fact that DOE recommend against. So you still need to be vigilant, and you still need to make your objections to planning, and you still need to do whatever is necessary to stop that from happening.
Okay, if I could ask then, and I do apologize to putting it on your lap, right? No. But you are constitutionally in a position that's constitutionally recognized as an opposition leader, and opposition, as we understand under Westminster, the government in waiting, so potentially. So I'm not going to get into that aspect. But in line with that train of thought, and for those who are listening, we're speaking with the Honourable Opposition Leader. I take this time, this is a political discussion, we're talking with the elected members of the Parliament. Let's use the cut of, I call it, reef. The people who know different say, well, technically it's not a reef, but it's certainly not loose beach rock. I mean, I know what loose beach rock is, and I can pick it up and move it.
So we call it ledge.
Yeah. So that's kind of
beach
hard.
Ledge.
Yeah. Okay. So again, some people who know say, well, we're hearing now that we cut a big channel, whereas the DOE partner said you could just do little core samples and you could have got the information you wanted, right? But anyway, we got a nice little channel cut. We watched it for a while, and now what the older Caymanians and the technicians who have the training and experience and education say, listen, what got happen is now seen to what happened, right? But you had to wait for a while and do what you can't undo. All right. Presumably now, in order to get and to achieve what the intended result was to a limited extent, instead of moving, the 1,000, the quarter mile or whatever was that was going to be moved, we're going to move little bits and pieces. So, 5 or 6 more cuts as opposed to one big thing. So little openings, little perforations, right? Well, if that is to transpire as people expect, the consequence is going to still be the same. You know, you got a full slice of cheese, you got the whole thing, you got a piece of Swiss cheese, you still got cheese, but holes come through, right? So if that is what is happening, I share that to ask this in light of two things. We understand from different parts of the world, but respectfully, because we're supposedly part of the British Empire. In the UK, if you live in the UK, you can go online, you can get information about what is transpiring within the planning realm, the agenda, the notes, the minutes, the submissions, before a decision is made, not after, of what is going to happen. No matter what. You can go, you can get all the stuff, and then you'll know. In our case, we find out probably after the fact. So how is it that what's good for the goose isn't for the gander?
Well, I mean, you know, even the planning meetings, the meetings of the Central Planning Authority are supposed to be public now, and you should be able to actually go in and do it. But the last couple of times that I was involved with it, you only hear, you can go and listen to the presentations, but they don't make any decisions in front of you. Now what's the point of the transparency if you're not going to make the decision when I can watch you? Right?
All right. Okay.
You know, you don't want the public to see who's supporting what, right? You know, but we
I want to share.
It's amazing how we can how economic value changes decision-making processes. Now, let's get back to my 2 farm roads.
Right.
I have 2 farm roads that the farmers have spent years planning to open up their farmland in Northside, and they have put these roads on the most unarable, if there's such a word, sections of their land, right? And they're sharing it between all of them.
All right.
Now, the government accepted the DOE recommendation that we must do an environmental impact study before we put farm roads on farmland for farmers, you know.
Right.
But they didn't accept, right? They're not accepting their input for the dock. I would be surprised if they actually accepted the recommendation on Barkas and insisted that it remain pristine in its present mark.
Right.
Because this, getting back to putting all our eggs in this one basket, we have now lost control of 7 Mile Beach. And I want to say one other thing about one of the things that the government has used in the media, and the Premier alluded to it today too, is if we build taller buildings, bigger buildings, they are bigger, whether they go up or they go sideways, they are going to be less land consumed than 7 Mile Beach. That's a fallacy. Because what are we building these high-rise for? Right? We're building them to be occupied by people who are going to use the beach.
Right.
Okay? Right? So the number of people on the beach is going to increase.
Yeah.
It's not a situation now that because you put them up in the air, they're not going to want to go on the beach and go in the sea. That's the whole point of buying a condo on the beach, is to go to the beach. Right? Not just to look at it. So we have to get past that fallacy and don't. And what you say, you have to take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Don't be careful how you're drinking from that chalice, right? But I'm concerned that we are allowing one entity, right, to consume far too much of our economy.
All right.
Therefore, they're going to be the decision makers, and the influence that they are going to have on government policy, right, because they are so powerful in our economy, is ad infinitum. And when I talk about corruption, I'm not talking about money having to change hands, you know, right? But if I can simply say to you, look, if you don't give me what I want down here now to remove the rest of this ledge, I can afford to close the Kimpton.
Yeah.
Right? I can afford to shut down a number of my businesses. But
leverage. All right.
What you gonna do?
Yeah. I want to read something to you, but respectfully, I want to join the caller, if we can. Honorable D. Ezzard Miller is our guest. I also have a WhatsApp to read in relation to Coastal Works licenses and the like. Let's go to our phones, though. Good afternoon and welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you today?
Fine. Hi, Mr. Miller.
Hello.
you were talking about the DART. Mr. Miller, down here in the 7 Mile, you know, the old part of the High Regency on the water side, that was named the Beach, the Beach Suite, right? Mm-hmm. They just open it back up. Some time ago, some of us people complain about can't see when you go in there to come back up on the main street, right? Mm-hmm. So they went and put up a sign saying no parking. So it was pretty good for a while. And now that it's remodeled and we open again, the no parking sign is gone. And when you're coming out of there, you can't see what is coming from the left. So try the what is on the left? Yeah, from the left. When you come, you can't see nothing. Mm-hmm. It is blocked because cars are all lined up there right now. For me to get out there just now, I had to almost come in the middle of the left lane to come out to see what is coming. So you see, when these people come here and get this kind of power, it makes you just wonder, where are the rules and regulations and where the laws and what are we, the people of this island, supposed to do? Come out in the middle of the road every time we want to come out and get our cars mashed up, and then we're told that insurance not going to fix it, or you just had a minimum insurance to fix somebody's else, but not your own. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, Mr. Miller, I want to ask a question. I probably shouldn't do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. When y'all go into the house to do the financial budget for the year, now y'all doing it on a 2-year basis now with something in that category?
Yeah.
Okay. I just wondering, I think one time I was listening and I heard when they had mentioned the robbery was part of the budget and so forth. Am I right or wrong? Is the robbery games get some finance from the government?
The who?
The rugby.
The rugby field game up in South Town.
Well, the government has a number of NGOs and sports organizations that they give money to, and I believe, yes, the rugby is included in that.
Private schools get anything in the budget from
Oh yeah, they get a couple of $100,000 a year to divide up amongst themselves.
1 million, I think it is. Huh?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Well, before I say what I had to say, I'm glad I got that clarified, because Mr. Miller, what I thought to say that the premier was going to be on a regular Monday gone, but apparently it was a misunderstanding. But anyhow, I want to say this, Mr. Miller. We are helping these private schools. We are doing various donations into the sports and so forth. And we got no Caymanians playing rugby. We got no Caymanians in these private schools playing any sort of game that everybody play with the certain games they go and play. And Caymanians involved in those things, and I got proof of that. But Mr. Miller, what I want to say, and I hope that I can get this to the Premier, Mr. Alden, no disrespect to him. Y'all go to the house and make a budget for everything in this island. And today I am asking Premier Mr. Alden McLaughlin to please put something in the budget to feed our students in the primary and the high school breakfast. Feed them breakfast. I know there's a program going on with social service that there's a certain amount of kids listed every day at the school to get breakfast, but there's other ones there who's not getting breakfast or cannot afford to buy a breakfast. Some of them just be glad to come to school to see their little friends that they can get something share with them. And it's not what someone is telling me. I know for a fact. And I just want to say today that I am asking that when there's another budget made up in that house, consider a breakfast for every one of our students, the most important meal of the day. And if their kids' parents gave them $5, they can buy lunch with that. And when they go home in the evening, the parents can fix them something. So if they get an essential breakfast and get something small.
But I don't know, to the best of my knowledge, right? I know certainly at Aidan O'Moyle School, any child at one breakfast gets it. Whether the parents pay for it or one of the NGOs that organize it, or the government pays for it. But if you're aware of children going to school and they're not getting breakfast, I need to know, because I know that there is provision and arrangements can be made for them to get it.
Yeah.
That money is already in the budget. They're not to be put in, that's already there.
Yeah. So, thank you, Mom. Please, as Mr. Miller offered, please share that with him, because it's important as she shares.
No, I mean, I agree, but the money is there, and there are several agencies that provide it, you know.
Yeah. Well, with respect, I think you said earlier, we're making less Caymanian entrepreneurs and employers and more unemployed Caymanians. So where's the economic success? Yeah. Respectfully to the caller, to you, sir, let's pause quickly. 3 callers in line. We want to take each one of you, if you would mind holding for a second. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Did you know babies sleep an average of 14 hours per day? Tomlinson Furniture has cribs and beds for babies and toddlers, changing tables and more, including baby clothes and basket sets, like perfect gift packages prepared for newborns. Shop the Welcome Baby section of Tomlinson Furniture, corner of Hospital and Smith Road. Are you looking to eliminate wrinkles and fine lines? Beyond Basics is offering Botox units at $9.95 each, a savings of $6 per unit. Get kissable lips, plump up cheeks, and reduce smile lines by saving $275 on dermal fillers. This February, love your skin with these specials and more at Beyond Basics. Call 916-SKIN to book your appointment today.
We invite you to listen in on Thursday at 7 p.m. on Radio Cayman for the next CI Retro Talk Today presentation in the Celebrate Cayman series, when we'll focus in on our Cayman Islands maritime. Brought to you by Hell Service Station, Hell Road in West Bay. Family owned and operated for over 45 years. Now that calls for a celebration. Hell Service Station, where you're more than a customer, you're part of the family. Visit Hell Service Station for all of your car care products.
Save time, don't stand in line. You can apply for or renew your trade and business license online 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Just visit dci.gov.ky and click on the Trade and Business Online application link. Now, you don't need to stand in line, take time out of your busy schedule, or try to find parking. You can apply for your trade and business license online. Visit dci.gov.ky today and save time for running your business.
CUC advises participants in the Green Iguana Culling Program to exercise extreme caution around the CUC's poles and power lines, especially when extracting iguanas from trees or branches that are in close proximity to poles and power lines. Participants should keep all objects such as poles, sticks, or hooks away from any CUC equipment to avoid any electrical contact. For further information, please contact our customer service team at 949-5200 or via email at service@cuc.ky.
I've got some beautiful clothes. I know just where they go. Puritan Cleaners.
Come, take advantage of Puritan Cleaners 1 month special, prepaid on Wednesday and Thursday, starting now through March 28th on bedspreads, comforters, and blankets. Puritan Cleaners, the center for all your dry cleaning and laundry needs, including wearing apparel. Savannah Countryside, 946-1884. Elgin Avenue, 949-2452. Eastern Avenue Drive-Through, rain or shine, 949-7104. You feel good when you look good. Puritan Cleaners.
540 months.
16,425 days.
394,200 hours.
45 years. That's how long we've been committed to serving you, and we won't stop there. Over the years, we have proudly grown with Cayman, making a difference in the community. That's why we're here, to stand by you.
We are Cayman National.
And we thank you for standing by us for 45 years and counting.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us in the studio. The Honorable D. Ezzard Miller, the Honorable Opposition Leader, is our guest. Respectfully, sir, we have some callers online. To our callers, thank you for your patience and our apologies for letting you wait, but thank you for contributing. Good afternoon as we go to our phones. Welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Hello.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hey, how are you doing, Dwayne? And good afternoon, Mr. Miller.
Yes, sir.
I like to hear you on it because you tell the truth about what's going on.
Oh, he's saying that I don't tell the truth. What's going on here? No, I just teasing you, sir. I just teasing you, sir. Good afternoon to you.
Yeah, but anyway, this is a good thing because I know what I like about Ezzard is that when he starts at something and he doesn't give up because other people try to keep him from achieving what he set out to do. But the truth is, that's what's happening with Cayman, in my opinion. We have got a thing here now. If you listen to some of the politicians when they get on there, if they want to do something, the first thing here talk about how much money we're going to make and how much this we're going to get and that we're going to get. And I mean, the point is this. I said this before and I say it again. No politician should have the authority to make decisions about what they're going to do. This should be done. No party should have that thing. This should have a special committee or a group that sit down of knowledgeable, intelligent people who are familiar with development and with the growth and things like that. That they make the decision based on what they calculate is and they talk about what the budget should be. I see these things that's being built around here every day. You hear about how much money they. I mean, like when I heard about the $50 million for a high school, I laughed at it because I thought that was outrageous. You see, and you might hear me harping on this another high school. How in God's name can it cost $110 million? That's $61 million over the budget, and nobody is accountable. Now, what happens if we go to build stuff, and then down the road it backfires on us? Those guys that brought it in, they're still getting their pension and their benefits from government. They're living high on the hog after the fact. Let me give you an example, gentlemen. You probably know about this. But what I'm saying is this: look at this. You remember the Ironwood thing? That they talked about this project that was going to do this and do that, and how much of it, and they gave them I think it was 25%. Duty thing on it or something like that. I don't think they have put block 1 in the ground yet. They haven't touched anything. I don't hear no more about the Ironwood project. All of a sudden it's up, but that area, according to what I heard, it was rezoned to tourism. You see, and they got government to give them this concession on their duty even before they strike a lick. Okay. The same thing happened down in Beach Bay. They were going to build this big hotel. They had it in the paper, get people to do these drawings and say this is what the hotel's going to look like and all that kind of thing. And then it's rezoned again, and nothing happens. The point I'm making is this, gentlemen. When we do these things, somebody must be accountable. But there's no accountability. All you hear is responsibility. You remember when they talked about the tunnel down on 7 Mile Beach, that it was too long and they were concerned about it? What happened? As soon as this government got in, bam, Dart gets his tunnel. These are the things that we have to stop. It's corruption. I hope they're listening. It's corruption. You're not supposed to do things like that. We should have men in that house that they sit down and they reason. No one party, because you have a majority, should be doing things just because you got the majority and you can get it done. You see? But this is what happens. And I'll tell you something. The thing that one of the biggest rackets in this island, I can tell you about it. One of the biggest rackets in the world is these so-called the people that have these organizations that they collect money day in and day out for this group and that group and the next group. And that money, nobody knows where it goes.
Well, hopefully those are things that we can see accountability. Respectfully, sir, without being, too much cutting into it. Thanks for sharing with us. Let's take one of the other two callers that are there. Good afternoon. Welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Doing solid, doing good afternoon to you and Ezzard Miller.
Hey, good
afternoon.
afternoon.
Number 2.
And Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year, sir.
All right, Mr. 1 to 10.
You got him, sir. You got him.
Listen, I don't mess around with talk shows too much, you see?
Yes, sir.
Because I've given my soul to the Lord.
Amen.
And I ain't afraid to say it.
That's good.
But I'm just sick of hearing every time you turn on the news, whether it's on the TV, on the radio, all you can hear is that. I wonder how straight that arrow is flying. It look like, why don't he go up and ask the Queen to sell Grand Cayman to him? Or to the company, whatever they are?
You probably already own it.
Who knows? Everything you can hear is that. It looks like nobody else has no say in the Cayman Islands. And that's all because of politicians. No disrespect to you. I'm just talking.
No, I don't have a clue what you're saying, but here, I don't ever want to be considered a good politician.
Whoever, if government wants to stop helping me, because I can't work now up to 2 weeks ago when I was up in Shetty Hospital, I couldn't move. If they want to stop helping me, they're not going to do it. I go along the road, but I am going to talk straight. Don't sell out the place. That dollar going to carry the Cayman Islands straight to hell with a capital H. I can say hell in the Bible. Okay, sir?
Yes, sir.
That's all you can hear about this one and that, getting that. Everything it look like he want to own, or them or whoever they are, own the Cayman Islands.
Yep.
Why you don't try to go by Cuba?
I don't know as easy as you think.
All right, sir. Thank you, and God bless, and welcome aboard, man. Thank you for sharing. Mr. Miller, before if I ask you for any comments, could we respectfully take this other caller?
Yeah, sure.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you for sharing.
Good afternoon. How are you all?
Very excellent. How about yourself?
Great. I was just looking yesterday into the Cayman Times newspaper, and I saw where a local company has like 3 different ads applying for a whole group of people. I wonder how many Caymanians are going to get those jobs, or they'll be filled by Caymanians, because I think it's for the airport. And when you're going out, you don't really see a Caymanian face. The first thing you see is an expat face. And I think if we have a Cayman airport, I think we need to have Caymanians up front. Because as long as I know myself, Caymanians were the people that were always on the front line. And I don't see why we have to have expats from other nationalities at our airport. And even, when you're going through, you only see one person that you can recognize. And I can call the guy's name. It's Bob McField. I know he's been there for quite a while, but you don't recognize anyone. They're patting you down. They're feeling you up. They're telling you to, why can't we have our own Caymanians doing this? Are they professionally trained? Get a few Caymanians and train them. Yep. But, it's like you don't see Caymanians doing what they're supposed to do. That's a Cayman airport. We need Cayman people there.
Well, actually, on an earlier caller talked about having some customer service, and I'm glad to report that I've got some information from the Airports Authority that they are in the final processing of bringing on 20 airport customer service ambassadors, and all of them are Caymanian. So that's a step in the right direction, and I take the opportunity to congratulate the Cayman Islands Airports Authority in doing so, and I look forward to seeing them there.
Another thing is, this workforce, this new employment. I'm not sure how the jobs are getting to Caymanians, but I know, don't you have to run an ad in the paper if you have a vacancy and it can be filled, or you have to show proof that someone is applying for the job? Because I see people walking out of a job, changing jobs, going to another job. No work permit is a man, and they're going on another job, leaving one and going for another job. How can that be done? I mean, if I hire someone into my house to do domestic work, I can't tell this person, well, you go and work somewhere. This is not how it should be.
Well, one of the things that needs to be Brooklyn, I hope that the advent of works will do it, is this whole labor brokering industry that we have set up here in Cayman, which is causing all sorts of headaches for Caymanians, getting employment, etc., etc. All those things need to be shut down, because I maintain that that's all illegal, because you can't have, I can't have a work permit for Tom Jones to work for me, but he's not working for me, he's working for you. If you need Tom Jones, then I think the law requires you to have a permit for Tom Jones, not for me to have it, and but
right.
It's there.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing, Mom. Anything else you wish to share?
Yeah. I'm not sure if you all read the paper on Monday, but there was a nationality that was charged for rape, and he got a work permit. And then when he had to go to court, he had to need someone to interpret what he was saying. So how could he have a work permit if he couldn't understand, what he was doing? It's on one page that he had got a work permit, and then he was charged for rape, and yet he still had to have someone to talk for him because he couldn't understand. I mean, how can you get a work permit if you can't understand English?
Well, you're not supposed to be able to get one. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
But we see the case that just went through the court, so we have some inkling now how it was happening. But I go to restaurants and I can understand the waiter, and when I try to give him an order, he brings the wrong thing.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Mom. I know, Mr. Miller, you have other engagements. We have a couple of WhatsApps to share. Let's pause, though. We have a break to take. I will respect you, sir, but I got to stay on the good side of Susan.
Oh, yeah.
Boy, when you go on, she's here.
El Jefe.
Yeah, El Jefe. Let's pause and take a break. When we come back, and we'll talk today.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
Miami is so much more than just a shopping destination. Foodies, friends, and family are flocking to Miami for a variety of vacation experiences. From theater shows and concerts, theme parks and sports, to museums, fine dining, festivals, culture, spa, and more. And with regular Miami airfares now from just $182 CI round trip, including taxes, now is the time to plan your unique Miami getaway. For details and to book, call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Get your car washed with Diamond Auto Care. $20 car wash special. $30 for SUVs, interior and exterior. Call 928-7336. Diamond Auto Care will leave your car with a sparkle and shine. Only $20. Call 928-7336.
Hello, I'm Joseph Woods, the Acting Port Director. Our port facility is the hub of the Cayman Islands commerce and economic activity, handling $658 million in imported goods annually. From groceries to construction materials, all sectors of our economy depend on the port. But it is now 40 years old. Its infrastructure is degrading, and we feel the strain from insufficient space for both cargo and cruise operations. The time is now. A new expanded port facility is needed to allow both cargo and cruise to operate efficiently and to support our island's continued growth and development. Support the port, support our tourism, support Cayman's continued growth and development.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. In the studio, the Honorable D. Ezzard Miller, as opposition leader, is our guest. And I know, Mr. Miller, you shared at the outset that you have a few more minutes to share with today's program. Could we ask, unless there's something else to share that you want to press in, get to a couple of WhatsApp messages?
Yeah, I'm here to talk to the people.
Yes, sir. this was a message that had come through earlier when yesterday we had the planning minister on as well. But we've got similar messages today, and it's in relation to the whole issue that the planning ministry apparently is seeking to move the decision-making process for coastal works licenses from Cabinet to the Central Planning Authority, right? And I believe the Auditor General's report back about 4 years ago had made a similar suggestion. Now, the question has been asked, right, is that says that the suggestion, right, now when we look at the whole issue of this thing, what's the perspective? Coastal work licenses now?
I don't have I wouldn't reject the idea outright of moving it from Cabinet to
planning.
Right. But it has to be under certain specific guidelines that cannot be changed by planning.
Okay.
And they have to be published. Right? Because what we have now is largely an arbitrary political decision that's made. Right? I think that the people who would have the technical ability to do it would be the planning department in concert with DOE, right? And because the upland development to the coastal work is important,
right?
But what we have now is I don't think we have sufficient guidelines and sufficient criteria for what you can get coastal works for. Again, it gets back to this thing that we have with the concessions, right? These kinds of things can't be left to individual negotiations and some kind of willy-nilly decision-making process, right? We have a Department of Environment who have demonstrated over the past that they are quite capable of doing proper analysis on these things. So I don't have a difficulty of putting it before the CPA when the same application is made. So there's a total application, your coastal works plus your upland development goes to the CPA. But I would want to see some regulations under the development and planning law that specifies what can be done and what are the conditions under which things can be done and what is the criteria for it to be done.
So that the public has a knowledge.
So you must know. You must know.
Okay.
You see, we can't. Too many decisions in government now is left to being able to be made on the basis of who you know and not what you know, right? And I believe that things must be in black and white.
Right.
I don't live in grey very well, right? So as long as the proposal that's coming with the revised development plan is going to say where coastal works can take place, for instance, I would support a proposal in the development plan that says no coastal works is possible on 7 Mile Beach. No interference with 7 Mile Beach, right? Period, right? Now, in a canal, that's a different story, right? But then again, we have this problem with canals around here, where they're still owned by our particular parcels, right? The government needs to get busy, in my view, and clarify all of that by making canals the same as roads.
Yeah, public roads.
That's right. If you want to, because after all, we've already identified the ones that dug out as the Queen's Bottom. You got to get permission to dig it up to start with. So I don't see how we can retain, because in theory, under the present arrangements, right?
Yeah.
If I am nearer to the exit to the sound or whatever the water is going out into, right? I own the canal, that piece in front of my property. I can tell you that live further up canal, you can't cross it,
Apparently.
Yeah. And this can't be. We need, you see, one of the things we need to get back to, which for many reasons, and sometimes for the wrong reasons, we moved away from, where decisions are not made for the common good. Decisions are made, again, because of what I can afford to negotiate.
He who pays the piper calls the tune?
Mostly.
I believe you have another call quickly. With great respect, let's go to your phones. Welcome, you're on Talk Today.
Hey, good afternoon, Dwayne.
Hey, good afternoon, my friend. How are you today?
Okay, and good afternoon to Mr. Miller.
Good afternoon, sir.
Mr. Miller, I don't know if you have any update concerning the new prison facility.
I didn't know they were doing. I didn't even know they were doing one. I know we need one, but I didn't know that they were doing one.
Well, it's very serious that they get a new one, because the old one, it's practically level with the ground, as you know. And if we were to have a tsunami in that area, those prisoners could lose their lives. And also, being that the facility is so old, the wiring in the facility, when it comes to electrical fire, it's a great possibility that that can happen.
Yes,
and the prison officers have to open each individual cell with a key. It's not like how it's supposed to be by pressing a button and all the cells open at once. So if there was a serious fire to break out, especially in one of the bigger wings as B-dorm, and the officers have to open each individual cell with the keys. And if the fire is too much for the officers, then there's a great possibility that he would have to leave those who he did not reach, and they could lose their lives. Remember, there's no death sentence in Cayman Islands, and each one of those people in there are human beings. And it's not fair for them to lose their lives in Norwood Prison in any way that I just mentioned. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
No, I mean, I don't disagree with the caller that we need to upgrade the prison. But again, here's the problem I have with all the success of this government. And like I said earlier, all of the economic indicators and economic measurements that are standard worldwide, we're doing exceptionally well in. But you can do well in those, and you can have good finances, you can have great surpluses if you're not spending the money on the things that money need to be spent on. I heard the Minister of Planning on your show, I think it was yesterday,
sir. Yes.
Talking about a program at PWD, right? And while I believe there has been some success, the question I have is, why is it at PWD? When we have facilities at Clifton Hunter, which could be training, high school, could be graduating with some of these skills, and we certainly, I can confirm because I met with the new president of the UCCI last week, and they have those programs there. You see, again, one of the things that we're doing is this silo development, right? But in the meantime, education is being underfunded, right? And we're building a building at PWD to teach people technical skills, while the buildings at the community college is basically unfit for human habitation. They were built in the 80s, most of them, right? We need again get back to my concern that silo decisions and silo solutions. What we need to do is I agree with the Premier and the use of his language this morning, is that we need to be bold. I just want to be bold in different things than he wants to be bold in. I want to be bold in education. I want to give this new president of UCCI probably opportunities and resources that we wouldn't give to the past one, right? And I want to see the high schools being the facilities being utilized more, right? And not go in now and build this thing piecemeal, and we're going to train 15 people or we're going to train 20 people, and we got 300 people that we could be training in the high school.
I mean, as I listen to you, the life skills, I think, the comfort level, not that you're going to become a plumber or electrician or mechanic, but if you feel comfortable, at least as a homeowner, 20 years after graduation from high school or earlier, you can at least change a light bulb, look at a piece of electrical. Not the thing that many of us are comfortable with. Your toilet is running. What do you do? So even having that as part of the school's curriculum could be beneficial to our society.
But you see, again, we're talking all this round circles about all the technical training that we go for people and everything else, right? the Superior Auto experience is working really well from all the information that I have. And they're expanding that, right? That's a good thing. We need more people in the private sector to follow their example. But in government now, we need to provide the opportunity there. But we've got to do the basics. Here's the problem. You can't get, don't care how many courses in technical training you got, you can't sit the plumbing exam unless you dig trenches for 2 years or something with a plumber. No, we got to get rid of that. Same thing with being a wireman. We should be graduating students from Clifton Hunter as journeyman plumbers and as wiremen. Because we don't need that 2-year thing. Yeah. Now, if you want to be a master electrician and you want to be a master plumber, then I can see the 2 year. But it shouldn't be the planning department giving the exams. It should be in the educational institutions where we can properly equip people.
Yeah. Could I even just say to you then, and I recognize that you have to, that even with the plumber, electrician, and the trades, that those in the legal fraternity have said that the system that we have to graduate, train, and qualify lawyers could be adjusted too.
Well, I mean, we're talking about the technical side, but it's across the spectrum. It's the same thing in the tourism industry. It's the same thing in the financial industry.
Yes, sir.
We accept qualifications from anybody else, from anywhere.
But our own.
And very little opportunity to check how they got them and what their experiences were.
Yeah.
I think there was a famous case here last year I was told about where there was some foreign national here that took the electrician exam some 5 or 6 times and couldn't pass it, went home on vacation and came back with a license from his country and we licensed him.
Interesting, no?
You know?
All right. Now, Mr. Miller, you did indicate at the outset that you have to go. I don't wish to impose on you further.
Detain me.
No, I don't want you to stop but I don't want you to feel like we are respectful. Do you want a few extra minutes after the news, or do you have to?
No, I think that I can hang on for a few minutes after the news.
You're always so gracious. Yeah, all right, let's pause. Let's see.
Well, I'm a politician. I have nothing to do.
Miss Susan, do you think we got some bread and water we can give the gentleman during the break? No, I shouldn't. That might sound funny to the wrong people listening. Yeah. Let's pause and get our news when we come back. Let's continue our wonderful company with Honorable Ezzard Miller. What he said, the next premier who has... No, let's apologize. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
You are listening to Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman. Headline. Radio Cayman's newsroom. Headline. These are the biggest stories right now.
With your latest headlines, I'm April Cummings. Government puts out tenders for works associated with a long-term residential mental health facility. The 52,000 gross square foot facility will include a main building and 9 single cottages to accommodate a total of 54 residents. The deadline for bids is March 22nd. In international news, U.S. President Donald Trump leaves Vietnam after his summit with North Korea's Kim Jong-un without an agreement. The leaders were unable to strike a deal on reducing the North's nuclear program in return for the U.S. easing sanctions on Pyongyang. Mr. Trump also commented on his former lawyer's appearance before U.S. Congress. He called it a fake hearing. Michael Cohen had accused him of being a racist, cheating conman. And a report by UN human rights experts say Israeli soldiers may have committed war crimes while responding to Palestinian protests on the Gaza border last year. Those are your headlines. From Radio Cayman's newsroom, I'm April Cummings.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands. What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today, and thank you so much. And if you think that I have fun on this show, you're probably right, but my mom always tells me, you do your good job, be honest with what you do, enjoy it as much as possible, and you'll find that it doesn't seem like work. it does seem like work, so I try hard to be prepared. But Honorable D. Ezzard Miller, to our guests, always I try to be respectful and as prepared as possible. And I try to enjoy it so that it's not a task nor a chore. And then, of course, working with Susan makes it that much easier. Mr. Miller, if I could, though, just ask something that you referenced earlier, the Honorable Premier. I hope he doesn't mind me, saying that I think he's not only very intelligent but very eloquent and can speak and represent the country publicly, whether locally and internationally.
I agree with all those things.
Yeah, man. And so I may get accused of...
I agree I can do a better job, but...
Oh,
couldn't really get away with that.
No. And you...
But he is a very capable person.
It is true. And I hope that our public becomes equally enamored and involved and influences the outcome. But Honorable Premier makes a statement today, and you were there at the conference, that they'll be supportive of the darts proposal. Now, it may or may not be to the extent that we heard it would come, but it's
well.
There.
He declared that they haven't gotten a proposal from DART. He didn't tell us how high the building was, but it's supposed to be some iconic building, and he compared it to the Eiffel Tower and a couple other ones. But he did say that it was not yet agreed, but then he went on to, in my mind, Blair put a good argument to justify it.
Yeah. Well, this is what...
And I have some serious concerns about that.
Yeah. I want to ask you about, because this is what, just quoting from the media statement that was sent out. Now, we did ask the Honourable Planning Minister yesterday about it, because we said then, respectfully, we weren't trying to throw anybody that we understand the announcement was going to be made imminently, today. We said that publicly yesterday. We understand that the statement that was to be issued has been slightly adjusted because of, we weren't trying to preempt anything, right? No. But this is what the press media statement says, the Honourable Premier announced government's intention to consider DART's innovative proposal to develop an iconic tower that would create a new skyline and become recognizable the world over, right? Now, it doesn't go through talking about whether it's going to be a 25-story building or 125 stories. It doesn't say it's going to be A, B, or C down the road across the street. It does say that, this development will be, mixed use with hotel, residential, retail, and entertainment spaces, right?
The other thing that he went on to invite other developers to bring other proposals, so that it doesn't seem like the government is looking for one iconic. They're looking for a number of iconics, which will completely change the face of Cayman.
Yeah.
Now, I must tell you that I don't agree with that.
But it says create a new skyline, the face of Cayman.
Yeah.
So it says that.
We have Cayman has been served well with incremental developments. The fact that originally we only allowed what was 4 stories along 7 Mile Beach, and then 3 decades later, we say you can go up to 10, unless you're smart enough to pile up sand along it, you'll get 13. Right?
11 above and 2 below. So,
right. We have done well at that. The fact that we are getting this construction boom now because they are able to knock down some of these 4-story buildings and replace them with 10 stories. I favor that kind of incremental phase development. I think if we jump from that now to 25, or we've heard in the press even 50 stories,
yes,
right?
Yes, right.
I think is way beyond what we can manage now as a people. And we have my concern, as I said earlier, is that we're leaving Caymanians behind because what they're talking about doing is not being done for Caymanians. Not being done for Caymanians to buy homes there, because if I understood the Premier correctly, what he was offering as a carrot, so to speak, to get this thing approved was that they had to do infrastructure development and contribute to education, right? Now, whether that means that he's going to now, because remember the last time we allowed them to build all these highways through their own property, which us Caymanians would have to do at our own expense and get no credit from government if we wanted to do a development of that scale. The fact that they have every 150 feet left on, off, and around about another couple of 100 feet to give them whatever, people are kind of ignored, right? I don't think the people of this country are prepared, and I don't think it is necessary right now. Because remember, we already have 22,000 jobs in the Cayman Islands that we don't have Caymanians to fill.
Okay.
Right? So we're not in a situation where we need to be creating jobs for Caymanians. Right? What we need to do is we need to be bold in making sure that our Caymanians get the necessary training and experience to move into many of these jobs, including the boardrooms, right? Mm-hmm. And as I said earlier, I think we need to get away from how we measure success, right? And I want us to involve in that measurement of success real improvements in the standards of living and quality of life for Caymanians. The standard retort from government when people like me say, listen, you shouldn't be giving these any concessions. Well, if you don't give the concessions, we're not going to get the development. Problem is, we give the concessions, we get the development, and the infrastructure that the concessions should have paid for, we have to pay for some other sources.
Not enough to support it.
Right?
Yeah.
Of course.
Okay.
I want us to see that we can, if we want to come into this, and enjoy the Cayman economic miracle, obey the hoteliers law. Obey the hoteliers law to start with. That puts the money in the treasury that the people can decide through its representatives. And the representatives, as you know, if you believe in Ezzard Miller, participatory democracy, we will consult with you, right? And we build the education institutions. We don't fragment things like building a building at Public Works to train carpenters when we can do it at the community college, right? We don't allow some tech group to come in and create a whole new campus, right? We say you want to create a school to produce programmers or whatever. Well, we invite you to build it at the community college. We put your name on it, right? But that's where we want it, so that it has a global access by Caymanians. You don't have it on your own private property, and you can somehow put in your own filters, whatever they may be, to only bring the people that you want into it, right? Because we have to continue to provide opportunity globally for Caymanians. That's how we're going to raise the standards of living and the quality of life for Caymanians. My position is that's what we need to be concentrating on. We can't continue to focus tunnel vision on satisfying a developer and helping the developer make money to do something else with.
Well, Mr. Miller, you have shared repeatedly that we are putting too often the cart before the horse, that infrastructure can't support it, from the fire service training the personnel, the equipment, for example, buildings above a certain height, to the sewage and the other infrastructure, the roads. Now, there are those who say, well, hey, if we're going to grow and be competitive, we need to, build it and they will come. You need to do something.
But, getting back to that old thing, more than enough is not good for anybody, right?
We need to puppy.
Right, and we have enough. We have plenty. We've been blessed in many respects. I don't think we should continue to push that envelope of just getting more and more and more and more, while at the same time depressing Caymanians' involvement more and more and more and more, right? Because then it is going to bile up in your face. Because while the government, as I say, have done a reasonably good job on managing the economy, and if you use the thing, let me tell you, there are Caymanians who are hurting in this wonderful economy that we have here. There are Caymanians who are losing their houses, their homes. There are Caymanians who are losing their modes of transportation. There are Caymanians who are employed below and not getting opportunities to move up the corporate hierarchy. And there are Caymanians who just are getting marginalized. And they're only going to tolerate that for a while.
Yeah. Mr. Miller, if we could, when we're looking at planning and development and the economics involved with that, could we perhaps maybe one final sort of major point ask of you, if you're cognizant? Now, we know that if we ask you, not just as a parliamentarian, but as the opposition leader, constitutionally recognized position, sitting on the Well, it's not functional now, so
NEC.
that part of our entity looks after the national security.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Okay.
National Security Council.
Right.
NS.
Are you aware that our governments, and there's been allegations for years that the government has been utilizing people outside of the planning realm, the civil servants, to approve and vet planning applications. Now the government has announced and acknowledged that has been transpiring. Were you conscious of that? I don't want to put you on the spot, but
no, we've had reasons to look at certain planning regulations and stuff that were brought down based solely on the beneficiary as to that there weren't outside people involved in drafting planning regulations for the development and planning law, etc., and we've raised the alarm, so to speak, but it seems to be continuing, and we have to pause, in my view, and say to the DART conglomeration that, look, you've enjoyed a good time in Cayman. You've done well in Cayman. By some measurements, Cayman has done well by you. And
but mutually beneficial.
But we don't have to be grateful for that, because your benefit was far exceeded what the average Caymanian benefit was, right?
Okay.
But nobody has argued, nobody has successfully come forward and said and contradicted me on my evaluation of the NRA agreement. Is that Cayman stood to gain about 100 million, but DART stood to gain about 1,000 million, right?
Okay.
So I think we need to let Cayman catch up.
Right.
We need to be bold on our education interventions. We need to make sure that we are providing global opportunity for Caymanians to get the best education possible, but also to get the good jobs, right? I used the example where a friend of mine who's in the guardian system, told me that one of his work permits has a master in horticulture. My response was, he pull in bush. Right? But if we're not careful, the Caymanian qualification for that to pull bush now going to be a master's degree in horticulture, right?
Because otherwise he's unemployed in other places.
Yeah. So I'm concerned with what the Premier announced today. Very, very concerned. And I will take the opportunity to investigate more and get more information before I take a public position on it. But my off-the-cuff reaction is that I don't like what I heard. And I am not yet convinced that what I heard is good for corporate Cayman. It may be good for a certain section of Cayman. It may be good for the developer, right, to maximize his return on land, etc. But past experience wants me to be cautious, because one of the side effects, to get back to my medical background, on that proposal may mean some more restrictions on economic opportunity for my people in my constituency, i.e. sterilization of more property and wetlands and etc., in order to allow this, because we seem to be quite comfortable to let some of these developers on the Western Peninsula destroy the environment because they give us a token piece of property somewhere else, which they deprive those people from their development opportunities. So I will pay close attention to it. I certainly, Mr. McLean is the person responsible in shadow minister for Mr. Hugh, and I intend to have some long discussions with him about it, because he has insight into these things that I don't have the experience to have, right?
Yes, sir.
So we will be having discussions about it, and we will take a position on it, because it is, you combine that proposal now with the idea of virtual parcels of land and all the buildings that can go on top of the tunnels, right? And the huge port investment and stuff like that, it could be too much too soon.
Yes, sir. Mr. Miller, as the caller shared.
Yep.
Thank you. And we're going to take a final break if you wish to exit.
Yep. Yeah, I got.
Yeah. Thank you for being so gracious with your time, sir. And look
Thanks
forward.
for having me.
No, always a pleasure. He's not just handsome, but he's helpful.
And I got to go prepare now because I'm on for the record tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning.
You better be prepared.
First Friday,
Yes, sir.
And OC can be tough.
That's a rough fella.
He's not as jovial as Mr. Ebanks is.
Well, I mean, we're going to pause and take a break. Thanks so much to Honorable D. Ezzard Miller. When we come back, a few more minutes to close out the discussion. We invite you to stay tuned.
Accommodate small or large living spaces with reversible sectional sofas. Now on sale in a variety of colors for $750 from Tomlinson Furniture. New arrivals every week. Tomlinson Furniture, corner of Hospital and Smith Road.
From happy beginnings to happy ever after.
Brit K protects your lifestyle with the best insurance cover at the best possible price.
Health insurance with far-reaching benefits.
95% of claims settled in 5 days.
Low-cost life insurance.
And investments.
Security in retirement.
With a custodian pension plan.
For happy beginnings and a happy ever after.
Visit BritK.ky or call 949-8699.
BritK, where people come first.
Give yourself great hair with a Wash, Blow and Go hair service special for $39.99 from Beyond Basics. Finish your polished look with facial hair threading services. $5.99 for lip or chin, $9.99 for brows, or $24.99 for full face threading. Only at Beyond Basics this February. Call 916-SKIN to book your appointment today.
Radio Cayman 3 to 6 mix on the weekdays.
Tune in, turn it up, listen.
Sponsored by the Cayman Islands Football Association, SIFA, building a better future for Cayman football. Savannah Pharmacy. Remember, they are always just around the corner with everything your family needs. And convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
Every day. All the time.
Ultimate party show in the afternoon. Radio Cayman Super Jam.
We invite you to listen in on Thursday at 7 p.m. on Radio Cayman for the next CI Retro Talk Today presentation in the Celebrate Cayman series, when we'll give you a bird's eye view, word picture of our Cayman Islands' vast maritime heritage, or maritime, which underpinned the firm foundation on which the modern Cayman Islands has been built and still continues to do so. CI Retro Talk Today is being brought to you by these fine sponsors: the Ministry of Culture, Cayman Islands Culture, wear it, celebrate it, be proud of it, and by the Cayman Registry, a division of the Maritime Authority of the Cayman Islands. The Cayman Registry, the #1 super yacht registry in the world. CI Retro Talk Today on Radio Cayman.
Hi, I'm Colin Lumsden, the Georgetown Manager and Head of the Revitalization Initiative. Our capital city is the heart of business activities in the Cayman Islands, and we would like to bring it back as a center of social activities, with streetside cafes, green spaces, improved roads, and proper walkways for interconnectivity. The new cruise and cargo port is part of the plan and will allow for operators to meet passengers dockside with less lines and overcrowding. Cargo operations will be less intrusive. There will be pedestrianized areas for people to safely walk, shop, and dine. Modernizing the cruise and cargo port is a key element in the efforts to revitalizing our capital city.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Welcome back to Talk Today. Thank you so much for joining us. And again, a special thanks to all of our parliamentarians for taking time out of their days. Yes, you may say, well, they're campaigning. Well, they may just be. But the fact is that as a listening public, we get a chance to engage directly with them, hear from them what they say, and be able to be actively engaged, informed, and involved in the politics of our country. Whether you decide to be someone who offers him or herself in the political realm, whether you get involved in someone else's election, or whether you specifically, and perhaps more importantly, go out and get registered to vote because you're eligible, and come election day, come time for referendum or other similar public participation as a registered voter, you then have that option. If you're not registered and you wanted to vote, you couldn't. So please, if you don't think it's improper of me, please always, get registered to vote when you're eligible, and come election day, exercise that democratic right. There's still many in other parts of the world only wish they had, but so many have fought, continue to fight to defend that right to vote. Again, I'm very grateful that our elected members across the different media platforms on almost a daily basis make themselves available, and hopefully we'll do likewise to become informed, so that when they're saying, what they can say, you can separate the wheat from the chaff, so we'll know for sure, what is being shared. Or at least we can say, well, we heard this, we saw that, we read it. Otherwise, as Mr. Miller shared with us earlier, he's on for the record tomorrow morning with Mr. Art Connor. Tomorrow's Friday, Miss Susan. I must share with you, I woke up this morning and I thought today was Friday. Boy, I'm glad that it wasn't, because I would have missed Thursday. 949-8037 is our numbers that you can call for the record, for Talk Today, for Business Buzz, for all of our programming. 949-6990 works even better. Of course, there is a toll-free call at 1-800-534-8255. But sadly, and still somewhat disappointingly, some of you are still unable to access. Now, something to consider. Perhaps you'll consider it and discuss it tomorrow. You'll think about it and decide once you've been fully informed. The Honorable Premier makes the announcement today that the government is, willing to consider, the proposal from the DART group, for this iconic tower that is going to create a new skyline for Cayman. Now, Mr. Miller also shared, I just remind you and repeat in case you address just joining us, that not only has the private sector been instrumental in perhaps drafting proposed legislation or proposing regulations and like to, let's say, planning, for instance, but we know that the government has also confirmed that the private sector has been involved in reviewing planning applications and the like. Now, many of you probably knew that, many of you probably suspected it, many of you question, but who, when, and for how long? Well, maybe that's an FOI request that is to be made. Maybe it'll be forthcoming very specific. Maybe you'll discover that it's been ongoing for a long time and that was only been formalized. With everything, Mr. Miller says, take it with a grain of salt. There's always going to be a spin, unfortunately. Let's take it and let's analyze it. Let's ensure that it's there for us. Now, the last thing that we want to share with you is to repeat what many have said again just this last week or so. Where is the accountability and transparency? Where is the open and unfettered access to public information? Some of you have reminded us repeatedly that in other jurisdictions, including the UK, simply because we're still part of the UK, that they can go and beforehand have access to timely, accurate information that the planning regime, whether it's the local borough council or other local planning authority, whether it's something national or otherwise, that they can see what is being proposed and therefore have an option to at least be informed beforehand, unlike what seemingly is the situation in this country, where you don't know what is happening until after the fact. Yes, the minutes are there to say, hey, this is what we approved. Some of you saying that is not good enough, because in the UK you can go online if you so choose and see what is going to be considered, upcoming meetings, and here is the supporting documentation for or against. Now, we would think that would be equally available and accessible here. Maybe you say, that's just too much, let's get on with it. You don't need to know, it's none of your business. Maybe you say, but wait a minute, that's not the way it should be. How can you have a healthy democracy if information isn't accurate and timely and accessible to all. And especially in this day and age with the technology, it should be online. Well, I trust that as we try to be objective, that we remain not only impartial and professional, but respectful and respectable. There are going to be times when you say, wait a minute, now, that looks like it's a little bit different. Well, if you don't ask a question, if you don't grow up in a household where your parents encourage you to ask questions, to encourage you to exercise a level of independence, to remind you that you can have a different view without being disrespectful, then really, you're probably not growing. You're not going to be independent thinkers. Now, I don't know. As a society, I would like to see where people can respectfully agree to disagree and still share, a cup of fish tea and not be, so vitriolic. Hey, tomorrow is another day. My prayer is that we'll be a part of it, that it'll be a better day than today, not because we have more money in the bank, but because we have greater health. Not just because, we have somehow gained some advantage, but because we've helped somebody else to move along and to be better. And if it isn't that we're doing that, then really, what is it that we're doing? I invite you to stay tuned to Radio Cayman. Glad to know that we have seemingly a free and fair press, but some would question whether it is truly such. It's going to be better if more of our citizens are active participants in our democracy. And to do so, we have to seek knowledge, we have to ensure we have access, and we have to be willing to share that information. Until tomorrow, be blessed.